Joining us now to discuss what impact such Euroscepticism is having on efforts to resolve Europe's debt crisis is Edward McMillan-Scott, Vice President of the European Parliament. Mr. McMillan-Scott, when you see the public mood in Britain and elsewhere across Europe, isn't it clear that much of the sentiment that stems from the fact that EU has turned into something people never signed up to?
There is a very common complaint in the UK that we joined the common market and we got a political union. But actually the truth is that when we signed up to the common market, we knew that the objective was ever closer union of the peoples of Europe. So the objective was quite clear from the beginning.
Many people, many Eurosceptics, feel that they've been misled about what the European project was initially about. Wouldn't you agree?
Indeed, they may say that, but then when I look at my own country, I know that 3.5 million jobs depend on our relationship with Europe, that more than 50% of Britain's trade is with the rest of the European Union. You know, what are we going to do without that? And a massive amount of foreign direct investment in the UK is directly attributable to the fact that Britain is part of the single market. These points apply to all European countries practically.
This Euroscepticism seems to be increasing across Europe. I mean, isn't this because of the lack of leadership that has been shown by the people who can decide things in Europe? Aren't people just fed up with leaders dithering?
In the European elections of 2009, which, if you like, was a pan-European poll of opinion, we saw in 10 European countries the right or the extreme right making gains. Since then, it's gone even further. There are more gains being made. And we see figures like Geert Wilders in the Netherlands and the activities of the Hungarian extreme right in this country and France, the Front National, developing into a new political force. It's very worrying. I don't know whether I would attribute it just to the fact that the centre-right, if you like, hasn't made the case. It's attributable to all sorts of things, including the economic disaster stemming from 2008 onwards.
What do leaders need to do to stop this?
Well, I think we have to restate the case for the European Union. If it didn't exist, it would have to be created. We have to recognize that, for example, that the euro has created 14 million jobs. It's kept inflation at about 2% for nearly 10 years. But as far as my own country, the United Kingdom, which is facing an onslaught of propaganda from organizations like Open Europe, the Taxpayers Alliance, Business for Europe, Business for Sterling, and so on, very well-funded anti-European organizations, and a media which is increasingly shrill from the Eurosceptic side.
How optimistic are you that Europe's leaders can come up with a plan, a credible plan, to solve the current crisis?
I'm an optimist that what will happen as a result of this crisis is that the European Union will be more effective, that the euro will be more stable, that individual governments, which after all are responsible for the crisis, will be more transparent and operate to the rules they set themselves and accept. And that the European Parliament will become much more closely involved in monitoring and surveillance of the Eurozone and the economic government which I believe is emerging. So as a long-standing pro-European, I'm actually discouraged by the current crisis, but encouraged by the thought that it will create something new and worthwhile and more stable for the security and prosperity of this continent.
Edward McMillan-Scott, thank you.